Okay, so this is the day 2 of our training, and today we'll start from ETL testing. We were almost done with what are reports, what is ETL process, what all tools that are available in the market, and what is the role of BI within what is the role of ETL within BI, how both are linked, right, and how reports play a role within BI, if it's for analysis or to view the data in more attractive way. The purpose of reports is this. So today we'll start what is ETL testing and what all different types of testing that we could perform on the data that we get after performing this ETL process. Okay, so in this ETL testing, again two words or two processes will come: ETL and testing. ETL is again coming with three different processes. So after implementing these three processes, extraction, transformation and loading, the data that we'll get after loading, we'll do testing on that. So what is testing? If you are from this testing background, not only from ETL, if you are from GUI testing or API testing, then you could easily answer. Can you please tell me what is testing? You know anything about this?
Testing what we are validating the probably once you load all the data, then you are validating whether it is as per the
Validating the
requirements.
data. Okay, wait. So after loading the data, that's a different thing. Okay, that will come with ETL testing. Simple testing means to verify and to validate. Verify means to check is that is following our business requirement as you said, right? And then validate. If it is not satisfying the needs, then we'll make some changes, right? Testing means to do the verification. Verification means to check the data that we are getting, and validation means to make the changes if that data is not satisfying the need. And if we perform verification and validation after implementing with this ETL process, then we call that as ETL testing. Now the thing is, as you said, within ETL testing, surely we'll perform that on the loaded data that we are getting after implementing this process, correct? But now the thing is, for testing, always we need to do the comparison. Only then we can verify or we can validate. Comparison means the thing that we want, we are getting, like, are we getting the same thing that we are in the target data warehouse or not? Is both are same or not, right? So testing, we can do that with the help of source file. From the source file, comparison we can make, or we can generate a separate the list of all the requirements of that enterprise, of that business. So with two things I can make the comparison. I can make the comparison with the source, I can make the comparison with the target requirement, or with the that enterprise requirement, and compare that with the target that we are getting. So both of these things actually comes under these all different kinds of testing. We can perform all of these with the source data or with the enterprise the data that we need. So very first thing that comes is a basic validation check. Basic validation check, or let me show you the details of all the kinds of testing that we can perform. It's on ETL testing. Okay, so it's on a reports. Okay, so ETL testing is here. Let me show you extraction and year. So these all plays a different role while working within ETL. It's after this, it's reports. No, after this one. After that, it's a reporting, and before this, we have the test planning, the test scenarios, the test cases, after working on the ETL, that complete process that we need. Okay, so ETL testing will actually work in 3 or 4, it's around 4 to 5 different stages. We can perform the testing on the data that we are getting, on the quality of data that we have, in the transformation rules if it is following the requirements or not, and the data that we are getting, if I'll compare that with the metadata. Metadata means the data that is present within the schema of that. Now validating the source and target mappings and validating the architecture that we are getting, we can perform the validation on the data models and the architectural representation. We can also check, we can check for the loading, how the data we are loading, if it is a full load or if it is a incremental load. And then in the last, we have the reports testing. We have report testing, drill down report or drill through report. This is we'll perform in a very detail within Tableau tool, right? And for the main things, like the thing that I said, the validation check or the transformation rules, if it is following, it is being listed over here. If I'm checking for the source to target test, it comes under basic validation testing. So source to target testing, what all we can do? Source to target testing, we can check for the data type of that source and the data type of the targets. We can go for count check. It is metadata, means within the schemas only, if the column name both that we are mapping the data from source to target, if both are giving me the same information or different information. Data completeness we can do from source to target, if we are uh, transferring the same or the equal number of records or not. And accuracy, the data that we are getting is accurate or not. Transformations is very important one. Transformation means the thing that I was saying. Let's say if I'll discuss about the expression transformation. This is one of the transformation. Within that we have the expression transformation, like let's say we have the student table. The same example if I take, we have the ID, we have the name, we have the phone number and address. So the business, the requirement of that enterprise, of that school, of that the database in which the student table is present is, like, one thing is sure, the phone number is from India only. Like the mobile numbers that the person, the students are storing is like this, a 10-digit number. 3, 4, 5, 6, correct. So before that, this is the one number. In the same way, we'll have the records, we'll have the phone number of all of the students. Now that school wants, or that college wants to append 0091 before each and every phone number. This is the requirement of that school, of that column. Here again, like this, or the requirement may be like +91, because this thing is sure, if the students are like storing their phone numbers or its mobile number, or like landline or mobile number, then in the mobile number we'll append 0091. So this is the requirement, correct? So this type of requirement we store as a kind of expression. We are appending a string before all of the values, right? So this is a kind of transformation testing. If I want to append these values, am I able to append all of the values within the source table that we are getting or not? Accuracy we can test, like I want to filter out the records of all of the students whose age, like if it is a school of class 10, I want the list of any student whose age is 10th class, it's around 15-16 age. The student, I'll write the age 16 or equals to, or let's say 16 only. Give me the details of all of the students whose the age of the student is greater than 16. I want the details of that student. It's for student. Let's say if it is about an employee, I can write that the details of all of those employees having the salary greater than 20,000, like this. Okay, so those things comes under the accuracy, if it is giving me the accurate record or not. Quality test we can do with the checking of null values or not null values. If we want, if we don't want to keep the null values within the target, then we can compare, do we have any null value within the source, or if we are getting that value within the target only. That all comes under the this quality testing. So in this way we have a lot of testing. We have the test cases and test scenarios as well, that we'll cover when we'll discuss about the Informatica tool. Okay, these are few of the test cases that are listed, and then I'll show you some of the. Okay, so this is all about the testing within the ETL. The next thing is the reporting tools we have already covered. I'll tell you. Let's discuss about some of the testing techniques of the reports. This is for the testing techniques within the ETL. So what all are the testing techniques within the reporting? It's here. Wait. BI report testing. Yeah. So BI report testing comes like functional testing, ad hoc, stress, security, and regression. So these all kinds of testing do also supports within ETL, but only the difference is within the name. So functional testing, the report that I have already shown you in the last session. Within functional testing, it will comes like the different. I'll check for the dashboard, the design, if it is correct or not. I'll check for the prompts check. I'll check for the accuracy of the reports that we are getting. I'll compare that with the source file or what we are getting within the reporting, the reports that we are getting. The performance check, how much time it is taking, in which browser it is getting opened, if it is working within Chrome only, or if it is working within the um, Firefox also, and all of the which version is being supported of different browsers. Drill down reports we'll do. This is, I'll start from this, I'll work on everything, and in the end drill down is the last thing that we'll perform. So within functional testing, next, what about ad hoc testing? Ad hoc testing comes under on the spot what we are getting. On the spot means, like if I click at one at my, like in the last, in the last report that I show you in the last session, there was a map here. If I click on the map of England, or if I click on the map of the Scotland, then how's the rest of the dashboard is responding? That comes under the ad hoc. Okay, so that is a kind of the how it is responding on that moment when I click somewhere. Subject area, the heading of that report, the heading of the dashboard. Joins, yeah, we can perform, we can implement different types of joins within the reports as well. Left join, right join, inner join, outer join, as well as we have smart join called as the blendings, the data blending that we perform within the reports. The next kind of security testing. Security testing means which all users could access that report. Like if I limit that only the author who created that report could download the data of that, it comes under data security. I have created that report from my account, right, Priya Nischal, and if you want to access that report, you can only view that report. I don't want you to download. You will be able to download that data that I'm using. So that's in my hand, that comes under security. So which all users even view that thing. If I don't want to view anyone, I just want to view that report, view that viz from my account only, then nobody will be able to access that. Okay, so that comes under access, single sign in security. Integrated security, if I'm working on multiple things in a single time, how it is responding, how the reports are responding. Okay, then regression is a kind of repeated things. Regression means all of the testing that we have already covered, like my data security was not working correctly previously, so then I made some changes, then again to test that security, that data security, it comes under regression testing. Okay, so regression testing is a kind of testing that is already covered. If you look at the regression testing of security, regression testing of prompts, regression testing of report data, right? So that all comes under the regression. Regression means the thing that is already covered, I just want to test that again. And these all are the different BI testing that we can perform, or the reports testing. So different reporting tools. Tableau is the one that I could use. IBM Cognos is the one that is opened within the browser. It's a browser based application. Tableau is a desktop based application. And the what is the tester's role? What is the tester's role within ETL testing? What do you think? What is the tester's role? Any answer?
To do testing, validating.
Okay, listen. We are done. We'll like after 2 to 3 weeks we'll able to see, like we'll able to even implement from different sources. After adding some of the transformation, we are able to load that data within the target data warehouse, right? This is something that we'll able to perform. So within transformation we'll have different rules, the transformation rules, and then we load that within the target data warehouse. We are able to send the data. That's not enough, because testing is the only way. Testing means to verify, to validate the data that we are getting within the target data warehouse, or the target tables, if it is giving me the correct record set or not, if it is giving me the complete record set or not, if it is satisfying the business requirements or not, if it is able to work with each of the source data in the mannered, like in a well mannered way or not, right? So testing plays the major role. If we send the data, if we don't know if we are getting the correct data or not, then how can we use that data, right? So without testing, it's incomplete to work within ETL. So different kinds of testing we can perform, as we have already covered. And what is the prerequisite for ETL tester? What is the prerequisite for ETL tester? You must know the basic things of ETL, like how the data is flowing, how the data means how the data is fetched from the source, how the data transformations are added, and how the data is being loaded to the target data warehouse. Basics of these things. Then the second thing is um, SQL queries. How can we check if we are able to load the data from source to target correctly or not? How can we test? Only if we are having the SQL queries, only if we have the stored procedures for that. Okay, so database concepts are very important. So from tomorrow onwards we'll work on the database, on SQL Server Management Studio, on SQL queries, on stored procedure, on the views, on the tables, on the different control statements, the various filter conditions, the functions, aggregate functions, arithmetic functions, right? It will take around 4 to 5 days to complete the database concepts. It will, again, the basic things, the more details you'll understand only if you implement those things within ETL processes. Okay, so different transformations we'll see after completing the database part. After 5 days we'll work on ETL, and then surely after, it will take around 2 weeks, 10 to 12 days to complete the topics within ETL. The thing that I was saying, how the data is flowing, So after that we'll see how it is being used, and then data warehouse concepts, how the surrogate key is coming, what is the requirement. Like surrogate key means the primary key for the target database, the target data warehouse. Like I want to increment it by 10, I want to increment it by 5 for each and every new record set. That all comes under the data warehouse concepts. Okay, so now what is the tester's role? Again the same thing, nothing new. If we know how the data is flowing, if we could test, only then we could work with that data. So that's all for the ETL things. And if
And
I,
uh, one
yes.
one question.
Mhm.
So these things can be concept will be the same even in case of data migration testing.
Dat- Data migration testing actually comes in the end. Okay, data migration means how the data we have within source, how it is migrating to the, or how it is flowing. Again, it's ETL testing. Within ETL, data migration is, you can say, another name for that. Okay, because migration itself means how the data is flowing from source after implementing some of the business rules to the target. Okay, so within data migration again comes the same thing, how the basic validation testing, data quality check, data completeness check. Okay, so data migration testing and ETL testing both are the you can say this works in the same way, but again this thing will come in the end after implementing the flow of data, after looking at the different kinds of transformation that will use intermediate of source and target.
Okay,
Okay.
so if there is something like example I'm just saying some Salesforce kind of a thing where two orgs are being merged or something like that.
Merge something, merge the data
No,
from two different sources.
yes, yes.
Okay,
Mm,
from here.
Suppose I have two orgs. Okay, we are trying to merge.
Okay, so for that we have the
From
from like this is source 1, the first source file, this is the second source file, correct? We need target, single target file out of that. So these two source files will surely have a connection on the basis of the referential integrity, means the primary key and the foreign key within that, within both of these. So here intermediate I'll use the joiner transformation or lookup transformation. I can use connected lookup or unconnected lookup, and then we can create this single target out of that. Okay, so from two different sources we'll perform these kind of we can work with any of these three different transformations, and then we'll get a single data, single target table. So this is the flow of data, this is the
probably
ETL.
no. What I'm asking is probably we may not have access to the DB validations and all.
Okay.
So if there's any metadata migration, okay, and then the data migration part and the same. So in that case, can we apply any of these concepts? So if one thing is like we can do some kind of a UI validation.
Okay,
As
you,
I said, some security permissions we can check for different user levels. What are the access to different applications or something like that that we want. So I'm just wondering. So what else can we do? I'm just talking about some samples, right? Like example, Salesforce to are being merged. Source one data is being migrated to source two. Okay, they have been merged as well. So some kind of a sandbox validation, sandbox environment to be provided for us for doing some validations.
okay. See, the
So,
thing is on the
so if we don't go at the individual data, I mean, going and querying it, it's a huge thing, right? Salesforce means it'll have a lot of options, lot of some creating lead, opportunity accounts, all those things, different functionalities. There'll be some other external applications integrated due to some online transactions from the external applications. then the data has to be updated within the Salesforce. Salesforce will be like a backend system, like it's integrated with Salesforce. So such kind, how do we, any idea like how do we go about what other kinds of testing can be done, like?
Okay. See, if you want to transfer, if you are saying from multiple sources on the basis of some security things, login access and all, we'll load that data or we'll send the data to the another end, right, of the different format. Let's say if this is the data that is being stored within the Oracle table, this is the first option, and another set of records is stored within Excel file, or let's say within the text file, just to make it simpler, the flat file. So now both of these record set, if I want to send that to the target, and there will surely be some of the referential integrity, the thing that I was saying, or if it is not present, we can even load the data not on the basis of any condition. This condition will be removed, and even then this transformation also we don't need, because we want to transfer the data from these two files to the another third file. And about the metadata, that will be used inside the two sources. Let's say this is id1, this is the name1, and in this a completely different columns id2 and name2 are present. Correct. So these two columns, or these two from source 1 and these two from source 2, like the four columns we'll have within the targets, within a single target, because I want to save that record set within a single target table. Let's say this is the again the Oracle table, because we'll implement the things within Oracle database only. So that thing can be implemented again with this ETL process only, because the things that is being used within this extracting the data transformations if we need, and then we'll load the data. And after implementing this, we'll work with the testing of the data if we are getting the same required record set or not. So how can we do the testing? From source 1 we can compare the metadata with the target one of the metadata. That will be the
So when you say you're comparing the metadata, what all things are covering under this metadata part?
metadata
You
comes
have
with
once sorry to interrupt. Okay, you have worked on Salesforce applications.
sales.
I'm just asking. I just need one comparison for that because I just need that information for one of my
No, I
projects.
have worked with the
So
retail store. I haven't worked with Salesforce. That's why I'm saying.
okay.
Hmm. Uh, Instead of student, let me take some another example. Let's say it's a retail store. Within a retail, we have the category table, we have the product table, we have the regions table, in which region that retail store is present, or we have, let's say, the sales table that will act as the collection of multiple foreign keys, or let's say time and date table, in which the complete record set for different regions, not only for India, for the different time regions for the different countries are also stored. So in that table, let's, if I take the example of category, this is the table. So within this category table, now I'm discussing about metadata. Its category ID is the column name with the int as the integer as the data type, with the primary key as the constraint. And the next column is, let's say, category name with varchar and with the constraint as not null. And the let's say the parent of that, or from which like the or the tag, let's say from which company that product is coming, that category is related, is 20. Again, a not null constraint that I'm passing. Like in this we have multiple columns. So in this table only, metadata will cover the this one. Wait. Metadata will cover this integer type of data for this category ID, for this primary key. So three things will be covered within that. The same thing for category name as well. This is the column name This comes under metadata. This is the data type of that column, that is a varchar with a length of 20, and it will be a not null constraint. So these three comes under the metadata testing. So if I am sending, if I'm passing, if I'm loading the data from two different source files having different records, having different columns, so within the target we'll have all of these four columns. Surely if we want, like if you don't want to pass on this name two columns, you can reject, you can like remove that thing from the target, or you will not map that thing from source 2 to the target, right? So if I'm checking this thing, if I'm checking the metadata, that will compare. So primary key will come with two more constraint. It should be unique and it should be not null. It should always have some values. So that thing will be covered as part of our metadata testing. That's within the basic validation testing. Not only this, also the length. If it is a varchar, how much characters can be stored in that, that will again comes under the kind of testing. So data, this is about the basic validation testing. If I say anything about the completeness check or the accuracy testing, that will comes for the data inside that table. So metadata comes under the column names, the data type and the constraint and the length of data, and the check constraint if any of the other constraints are present. And data, the data means the how many records we have, within T1 table, from S1 table and S2 table. If I'm joining both of these tables, not only joining, if I'm simply passing the record set from source 1 and source 2, then how the record set is coming, how the target table is coming with the different records that we have. Okay, any of the picture is clear to you? And the more things will be clear when we'll implement such of these transformations within the our real time data that I'll use. Not only the retail store, we'll see we have the HR records, like in which we'll have the employees table, we'll have the departments table, we'll have the country table and the regions table, like this. The data mentioned, the timetable we'll have. Any other doubt? The test, this topic is clear or not? The testing.
Okay, you're telling in terms of TV, that is fine. What I'm asking is at the UI level itself, instead of going to the query level.
Okay.
Okay, is there any way we can validate
See, this
any
all
other ways?
things.
See, metadata is how the you're telling of the category table. What are the attributes within that? Thing you're telling, right? You're going
Mhm.
and validating the at the attribute level. You're validating
Yeah,
something
that
other
thing
than
will
the validating,
also be
right?
covered with the help of SQL. We'll write the queries. Okay, and
Okay.
about the GUI that you are saying, this complete
UI
thing.
level, how do I validate? Because for now, I'm just for now, for one of my requirement, I'm just more concerned at the UI level. How do I validate?
Okay,
Because I understand you will be covering that, but for now, I need that very information at
let me show
very
you one of the mappings that.
exactly presented.
Wait.
So, is there any simple way of tracking it than going and writing all test cases? Because we don't have the time to write all the test cases, and then we don't, the coverage is, with a very short time, we need to have ensure that maximum coverage is from testing
Mhm.
perspective.
Okay, now listen. From source to target, you are saying about GUI testing, how we can test like from its UI only, how we can compare the things, right? Here
Yes.
the thing is within Informatica. Informatica do supports to generate the mappings, to design the mappings, to look at which column is passing from source. Like this is my source table, and within source table, which column is passing to which transformation, and from transformation or instead of transformation, if I say directly to the target, how the source data is flowing. Or let me keep it here only. So this is my source. From source to target, which column is mapped to which column of the target. This thing do also supports Informatica. Like SSIS is also having this mapping things from the source table, from the single column of the source table. Let's say this is my category ID. If I take this category ID, this is for the source. Let's say within target we have cat target, and in that we have cat id again, and cat name, the two columns, and GUI of that transformation, the mapping document for that, the mapping the looking of that mapping, the UI for that
So
will show
if I
us.
don't have the mapping document,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm just given access to the source sandbox. Okay,
Okay.
some sandbox, which is considered as source. Okay, it is a full environment, full sandbox they call it as. Okay, from there they're extracting and they're migrating. It could be metadata migration and the data migration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at the source, sorry, at the target, how do I? There are a lot of things. Okay, it's not just one or two columns. There are
Correct.
multiple things. The same screen will
Yes.
have permissions level. You have to go and validate the same thing. And the same thing you have to check for different columns, whatever you're telling. So whether multiple validations will be there. So how do I handle that? Any easiest way of tracking it? Probably instead if we start doing manually, there are too many validations to be done. Is there any other way of validating that? Multiple validations in the same screen.
No, it will be done manually only. You can fire, you can write see, SQL you can't do with automation. In simple words, for SQL you always do need to write the queries. This is the thing, the
No,
backbone
I'm
of
not asking
completing.
at the SQL level. I understand what you're telling at the backend table level. We are going and doing.
Yeah, we do
I'm
need to
not,
write
not
query.
even going there. Okay,
Okay.
Salesforce got a UI.
Okay. Okay.
At the UI level only, I need to validate it. The UI level only permission check you have to validate. At the UI level only, we need to check different other thing, what assets you are purchasing, what this thing you are doing, all those things. When you
Okay.
go and do some online payment or something, if you go and do some kind of a registration part, automatically the accounts, everything will be created, all those things. And then if you go there, okay, some, there are multiple validations to be done in the same screen.
See,
So is there
multiple
any simple
validations
easiest approach?
again will be covered here. Like the thing that I'm saying within Informatica, it supports this. Let me show you just a minute. Let me show you one of the mapping. This is the Informatica server. Uh,
Problem is we don't have the mapping document or anything like that. That is a problem. We just have access to the source thing, system, and we have access to the target sandbox. Okay, there we have to do. There's no kind of a documentation. We just compare things. It's there and then validate there. And there are too many things within the screens.
okay, okay. See,
So
about the security
does this
purpose.
support any kind of automation this informatic? I mean, right? Just capturing the screen and then validating that something like that. Does it do?
Mhm. The thing that you
Does
are
it do that?
saying about the security. Wait a minute. For
Security is only one section within that. Security means on permissions only I'm talking.
yeah, permissions. For
Permissions is
that we
just
have, we'll
one
have the
section. There are like that multiple sections we'll have in the same screen.
okay repository manager. Hmm. So let's discuss about what first thing first. It's security about. So every time when you'll work with an Informatica, it will, if you are working with the Oracle databases, it will ask you for the username and password. That is may not be a part of that Informatica only, because that username and password will come from that Oracle database surely. It's uh, so this is this one. Let me open this lookup transformation. I'll show you the UI part within Informatica, how it supports. So this is one of the transformation on this UI. It's unconnected lookup unconnected transformation, and within that we have our source table. This is the another transformation that is calling this lookup transformation, and then from this only I am passing the target. Can you look at the how the data is being flowing? The from source I'm mapping it to the transformation, and from transformation I'm again mapping it to target. So this is something that is not given in the mapping document. This is the mapping that end user will create from source to the transformation, from transformation to the target. So this is the first way to compare that with the UI testing, the thing that you are saying. Like, see the data type of this column, the data type of this employee ID, it's decimal, and within target the employee ID is going to store within the numbers with the two different that the how many numbers could it store, how many numbers it could store after a decimal, right? So within transformation again we have a decimal thing. So this is how we can compare its metadata. This is about the column name. If you just want to compare from its UI, this is the column name and this will be the data type of that. This is the total length of data that could reside inside that, right? So this is actually the thing is main process, the main purpose of using this ETL process is not only the UI testing, because from employee ID anyone could see, like from employee ID I'm mapping it to this employee ID and then I'm passing it to this employee ID. From first name I'm passing it to
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you one thing. I did not have to go and check at the data type level at all. Okay.
Okay.
I just need to see uh, all the fields are there or not in each of these screens. So is there any way, simple way, instead of going and validating from the source, okay, there are 10 fields or there are 25 fields, just to check all the field names, everything. So instead of doing that manually, is there any way
No,
it can automatically be done using
no,
these tools?
no. The simplest way is to open the mapping and then see. This is the mapping designer, that how the column of my source is passing to the target table. Okay, this is the simplest way without opening, without writing any SQL query, or within SQL we have the query as describe. We can use describe of the source table, and then we can write describe from the target table, and then we could see like which column is like you said within source we have 10 columns, or within target we are getting only 3 columns. So this means that only 3 columns of my source are mapped to the target table, only 3
So
columns.
this mapping, how easy it is or how difficult it is to do?
How easy means?
I mean, what is the complexity of doing all this mapping and because
The
at this
complexity is only one prerequisite for this to create this mapping. Only you have the knowledge, you must have the knowledge of the source and the knowledge of the target table. This is the only thing which
table
business.
level only we have to go.
Yes, what?
At the table level only we have to do, right?
Table level as well
What is
as the
happening to UI to
requirement of
UI,
that business.
UI to UI comparison of mapping?
Okay,
Is there
UI
any
to
way to do
UI
it?
only, you just need to see like the transformation, like here it is department name is coming, from where this is coming, it is calling from this one, this unconnected lookup. That is unconnected means any of the column of this transformation is not connected to source or target, right? So the business requirement you must know, the source table, the column names you must know, and the target columns you must know the column names, and the data type that you need, or the length of data that could reside in that.
But we don't have all those things, the requirements and other things. We just have source access to the source system, the UI of the source system and the UI of the target system. So one by one they are doing a migration as of now.
Okay.
So we have to start validating whether and we have a time crunch. Okay, within 2 weeks time it has to get completed something. So I'm just wondering if there's any simple way of getting that tested.
No, within 2 weeks you'll not
Some
able to
what
understand.
yeah, what is the approach? Because it's there are too many functions in that functionality wise. So I was just trying to figure out if there's any simplified way of getting it tested.
Okay. See, the thing is, before jumping onto this Informatica tool, this mapping thing, the thing that I'm showing, this is something that you will do even when we'll start working with Informatica, even that after a week you'll able to create such kind of mapping.
No, that is okay. These things, the data migration team is a separate team. They'll be doing that. Okay. At the UI level, I'm asking user any simple way because maximum you came across the metadata part
To
validation and all the
test
things,
the
right? So I just
data
asked.
from the UI, like UI testing that you are saying, you must know how to create that GUI, right? Or you'll get the
Mm.
created UI. What you'll get?
We will get we just have the source system access to source application from the end
Okay.
user level only.
Okay,
Okay.
as a user level. Okay.
As a user, I mean the backend users. Backend user means it's not the table level we are going to. Salesforce will have a UI.
Okay.
UI you will have to go and
You
create
can do
accounts,
one thing.
master
You can do one thing. Take the screenshot, or if it's possible, you can share the complete source files if it is possible for you. Otherwise, just take the screenshot of the thing that you have, the source thing, the complete data that you have within source, and what you want to pass on to the target, and what all things you will have. Like you are saying, we'll have the access to the that Salesforce. You'll not have access to the column levels. So write all of those things one by one and mail me. Then I could only go through those all things, and then I can suggest you
okay.
something on that. Okay.
Like, let me because I'm new to that design. Let me get that proper understanding. So I'll research this question at some time,
Okay, no problem.
and then I'll ask. Okay.
Okay, no issues.
So basically, it's the UI validation you have to. This level, okay, data level, the table level, everything somebody will be doing.
See,
The data
UI
migration team,
UI level
system system.
validation is the easiest one. Okay, if it is the thing that you are saying is the same thing that I'm thinking actually, I don't know if it is same thing or not. That's why I'm saying just note down all of the things that you want, so that I could relate the things that the thing that the points that I'm getting after discussing this from past 20 minutes. Only then I could tell you, I could suggest you.
Yeah,